Welcome to Kilroy's Outlaws and Legends Behind the Music with your host, multi-award-winning music producer, Eddie Kilroy. And now, here's your host, Eddie Kilroy.
Hi, welcome to another edition of Kilroy's Outlaws, Legends, and Behind the Music. We're going to have a good one today, as we usually do. I hope you enjoy them. Liz is with me today.
Hello.
That's a treat. How are you?
I'm well. Are you?
You're looking shiny.
I
Well,
try to keep from being shiny.
Okay, girl.
You know, nobody wants to be shiny.
Well, you know what? We're going to talk about the Judds.
Oh, that's a good one.
All three of them.
All three of them.
We've got.
You tend to want to leave Ashley out of that equation.
For right now.
Well,
I don't
whenever.
We don't want to leave Ashley out. She became quite a star on her own.
She
but
did.
Right now we're basically focusing on Naomi and Wyoming because they've recorded so many hits and had so much success. It was an amazing thing. The first time that I met Naomi, I was recording at Fireside Studios. And this lady walks in the studio. It was during the daytime, and I was not making a record. I was mixing a record. The only one in there was the engineer and myself. And this lady walks in, and I said, "Hey, how you doing?" And I kind of wonder what she wants. And she said, "I just came by to meet you. I've heard about you, and I'm in town. I'm looking to make a record, and my name is Naomi Judd." And I said, "Well, nice to meet you, Naomi." And we did the niceties for just a short time. I remember her dress and her appearance kind of caught me off guard for someone that's, walking 16th Avenue, dropping in, visiting people. And she had on a very flowery dress that looked like, and I'm certainly not an expert on lady fashions, but it looked a little bit long to me. And she had red hair, and I will say this, I remember the striking feature to me was this peachy, perfect complexion, and she was very sweet, very nice.
And the fact she was pretty didn't.
She was a pretty lady.
That didn't upset you any, did it?
Absolutely not.
She was-
Absolutely not. Didn't pay
She
any.
was easy to look at.
Didn't pay any attention to
No,
that.
you didn't.
I was looking at the dress with all the flowers. Okay.
Your favorite.
Yeah. I had a picture of you, one of those on. Blackmail you with it.
Yeah. And it was long too.
It was long, too.
But you are talking what year?
1979-ish.
79-ish. Okay, well, in the 70s or late 70s or something, the mid-length
very late
print
70s.
flowers, dresses, whatever, was kind of like, the norm. People didn't run around in mini microskirts and stuff like that back
Oh, no,
then.
no, none of that.
Some did, but not
she
most.
she had moved to California. They're originally from Ashland, Kentucky.
Ashland, Kentucky.
Right,
That's up
that's-
there around West Virginia, I believe.
Yeah, that's right. Is it in the foothills or right in the Appalachians?
It's in the Appalachians, yes.
Yeah.
Part of it.
And I assumed that her dad would have been a coal miner, because it seemed like, as I've watched on YouTube, most everybody up there were coal miners, and I enjoyed the features on that because they had an interesting life. But her dad owned a filling station, as they called them back then, I guess, and no longer a service station, the filling station. Let's go down to the filling station. I know that when I was a kid at home, and we'd play music. None of us played well, but the only place that was open after 10 o'clock was a 24-hour filling station. So we'd gather around there and play music and talk about how good we were and what we were going to do. But nevertheless, another story.
Yes, another story.
Another story.
All right, so they were born, or she lived, rather, I don't know where Naomi was born, but Wynonna was born in Ashland, Kentucky. Okay?
Yeah.
I think Naomi was born there as well. But
I
I'm
think
not
so,
positive.
and she was from there. And her real name, of course, she chose Naomi. Originally,
Her real name was Diana.
Diana, right. Mm-hmm. And she wanted to change it. And Naomi is biblical. It came out of the Bible.
Naomi came out of her. She chose the Naomi from the Bible, but she changed her name. Well, first of all, they moved to California, correct?
Yeah,
they moved
they
to
did.
California. She was seeking art, music, and TV, an actress part.
Yeah.
And so when didn't she divorce her husband at that point, and when she changed her name legally?
I think she did.
I wonder why.
And when she went to California.
She didn't like the name Diana?
Well, I guess Haggard had that song, "What Are You Doing Tonight, Diana?" And she didn't want Haggard hitting on her.
Well, that's about the same time frame too, probably, isn't it? Wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
But maybe not. But anyway,
sweet lady, and she went to California to pursue creative things, and she started getting some parts on some daytime operas. Yeah. Okay.
Soap operas.
Yeah, daytime. Let's see, the
TV and soap operas.
Yeah,
I think she was on Touched by an Angel, which is one of my favorite back in that time frame.
And that was a soap opera.
No, it wasn't.
No.
Touched by an Angel was a TV series.
Okay, and so there's the Opry, which is agriculture, and then the opera is just plain culture. And I don't like culture.
Okay, well, whatever.
We're rambling now.
And now, and then after she changed her name legally, tell me about Wynonna.
Wynonna changed her name also.
And where did she get her name from? Her name was Christina, I believe.
Christina, yeah, and she changed it to Wynonna because that was in a song about Arizona. Don't know the song, but somewhere in there was Wynonna.
There's a town called Wynonna.
Yeah, and she said... Wynonna, but they're not spelled the same. She spelled it differently. No, because I guess she forgot how it was spelled. Nevertheless, they were neighbors, and Eddie Rabbit, as I mentioned, across the street, so I was kind of on the road to Leapers Park. When I moved there, was out in the country and very quiet, and that's where I wanted to be, but all of a sudden, all the tour buses for the tourists were coming out to see where Eddie Rabbit lived, Wynonna, Naomi, and he got very busy and I moved. But in the time I was there, I saw quite a bit of them, either up and down the road, waving at them and so forth, so on. And they became big stars eventually. But in the meantime...
Well, tell me about when you met her. When did you meet her first?
Well, the first time I met her was when she came in that studio. But then I would see her from time to time. Perhaps we'd have coffee somewhere. And
well, wait a minute. Back up. When was she in the studio? What do you mean? First time you met her was in the studio?
Oh, well,
was she recording at that point?
No. She didn't have a record deal. She was looking for a record deal. And so she was just going around Nashville. A lot of people have to do that. You just don't walk into Nashville and say, I want to be a star, so take me to the studio, make me a star. There's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears go around in pursuing a record deal, and you have to be not only talented, but you have to be lucky. A lot of luck plays into that. But she was a nurse in California. She was working for her degree in nursing at a school in California. She was working also as a waitress and hoping she'd pick up some extra work. Extra meaning they hire people as extras in television and movies.
To which she did.
Yeah, which she did. And then she decided to move to Nashville to pursue singing. And she moved around. I don't want to say bummed around, but we use that term loosely. She walked around knocking on doors, visiting, and she would come to my office and visit some. And one time I had terminated my receptionist. Now, this is after I left MCA and Tree Music and Playboy and so forth, and so I started my own production company. And I had to terminate a lady and hire someone else. Well, the hire someone else was not going to be able to start for a couple of weeks because she gave notice, respectfully, to her employer at that time, and to come to work for me. And Naomi stopped by, and I told her, she said, where's your receptionist, your secretary? I said, I had to let her go, Naomi, but I've got another one coming, but she has to work out her notice on her job. She said, well, I'll come in and just answer the phone for you. I'll be happy to do that. And I said, well, that'd be wonderful, and I would appreciate it very much. And then the evening came, and the woman I was married to at the time, I happened to mention, by the way, everything's good at the office. Naomi Judd's going to come in and answer the phone for a few days. Wow, this woman went nuts. She said, I'm not going to have you with someone that pretty for 2 days in your office.
How did she know what she looked like at that point?
Well,
that was before she was a star.
Yeah, it was, but she was around, and she had met her somewhere, I don't know. But I said, well, usually when a lady comes to my office to answer the phone for a couple of days, they usually stay a week or two, if I ask them to. But no, Naomi she became a good friend, and she also attended the same church eventually. This was after she became a star.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then how did she become? How did that happen?
Well, she was a nurse, registered nurse, and there was a hospital, of course, in Franklin, Tennessee, where you go to die, I guess. It was a little hospital. And she was a nurse there, and a friend of mine, Brent Mayer, his daughter was in an automobile accident, and he took her, of course, to the hospital near there, which was Franklin. And Naomi cared for his daughter, and she gave Brent Mayer a cassette of she and Wynonna singing a song, or maybe 2 songs, I don't know. But it impressed Brent, and he went in and produced an album on her, took it to RCA, and RCA signed her and gave her a record deal.
Was Brent Mayer a producer as well?
Yeah, Brent was.
I think I've heard you say his name once or twice.
Good guy. He did not do a lot of acts, but the work he did was good, and he certainly did a lot of good things with the Judds. Made a lot of hit records and did well for him.
He was their producer all through?
As far as I know, he was, okay? After she became really famous, and after they hit, she remained a very, very humble and nice lady. And she was attending, she and Larry Strickland, she eventually married Larry. They were attending Christ Church Pentecost, the same church I went to. And we would sit together at church since we knew each other and visit. Then after church, a number of times we would go to after church lunch at a restaurant, and I can't remember the name of the restaurant, doesn't matter. It was in Cool Springs Shopping Center, and visit. I was talking about visiting. I don't know if this is where we want to bring this up or not, but Naomi said, why don't you come on down to the house for coffee? And I said, okay. Well, I'd never been in her home before. We had been on the property because there's a picture of Billy Joe Shaver and I on the fence at that place. There was 300 or 400 acres in the place. And
it was a horse facility when she bought it, right?
Yeah, at one time it was. And matter of fact, Ron Chansey, another record producer, was keeping his horse out there. Mm-hmm. So anyhow, I went down to her house, and I walked in through the kitchen door, and it was so stark white. I'd never seen so much white in my life. White refrigerator, white stove. That's, you see matching colors on a lot of stuff like that. You have that on your appliances. And everything was white. The floor was white. Everything, the chairs white, tables white. Everything was white. And I said, this is the whitest place I have ever seen. And no color, no anything.
Did you ask her?
White, no.
You didn't ask her?
It's not my place to go in and say, why in the hell is everything so white, Naomi?
I didn't ask that.
No.
I just said, wow, everything's white.
Well, no, everything's white, but I could see into the living room. It was white, too. The carpet's white, the couch is white, the chair is white. And I don't know whether it's because she wore a white nurse's uniform all the time, but everything was white.
That was before scrubs, right?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, the only thing I knew about scrubbing was cleaning the bathtub. But it was, remember the days when there was a ring around the tub?
Well, nurses wore white uniforms, I guess. Well, you said that was what, the 70s?
No, late 70s. Oh, well, no,
I think they were still wearing them then.
It was in the 80s.
Oh, was it in the 80s at that point?
Yeah, by then.
Well, maybe they were still wearing them at that time. I don't know.
Yeah, by then they had hit records, and she was, I guess. Well, she quit nursing, so I don't know what she wore.
She gave up her nurse's uniform then. Huh?
It was so cool, though. The way I found out she had a record deal, and Brent had gotten her a record deal, is I stopped by Kroger's late at night. Must have been 11, 12 or something, to pick up something on the way back to the ranch from the studio, and I hear this voice saying, "Eddie Kilroy," and here she comes roaring down the hall in her white nursing uniform, those arms around me. She said, I got a record deal. I said, wow, congratulations. She said, RCA Records has signed me. I said, well, wonderful, girl, you deserve it. And then, of course, her career went on from there. But that's the first I heard of her getting a deal. I heard it at Kroger's. But,
you can hear the darndest things in a grocery store.
You really can. And if you want to see a lady, go to the produce section, because they're all hanging out there picking out the fruit and the vegetables and so forth. That's another story. Boy, we got a lot of stories. The Wynonna was quite a character, and I've mentioned a lot of times. I was amazed at all the cats that she had, because they came over to my place quite often. But they won so many awards and had so many wonderful accolades. Where they have like 5 Grammys?
I don't know.
I think they had 5
I know
Grammys.
they had a lot of
Man, they had
awards,
everything.
like the ones you have in the living room, same ones that they have.
Yeah, except they had a lot more.
And they have a lot more, correct. You only have 2. They have about 100.
I think they had 9 from the Academy of Country Music.
Yep.
And like 7
or something like that.
6, 7, or 8 from the Country Music Association.
A lot. A flock,
lot.
as you like to say.
Yeah,
a flock of awards.
A flock of
The bunch.
awards.
She had shelves just for her awards, I suppose.
Yeah, and then along comes Ashley. And Ashley she kind of stayed.
Didn't you go riding with her?
Yeah, she stayed around the house a lot, and
they had horses too.
Yeah, and well, Ron Chansey, I mentioned this friend of mine, another producer who produced quite a few records, did all of the Oak Ridge Boys, good guy. And he kept a horse out there, a great big horse. And I don't know what discipline the horse was trained in. It was not a quarter horse, not a thoroughbred, but it was something anyway. She would ride that horse, Ashley would, with an English saddle, and I'd be riding along beside her and chit-chat, talking about nothing particular.
But she was just what, like a
She
teenager or so?
No, she was older than that. She was like, I'm going to guess Ashley at
early
that time.
20s?
20-ish, early 20s. It was super sweet, really, really nice.
Could she sing too?
No, she didn't sing.
Or could she? I didn't say did she? I said, could she?
Oh, I don't know. She
You
never
never heard
sang to
her
me.
try?
No, we just talked, on the way riding along, whatever you talk about. You can talk at the kitchen table about the same way you can talk about horseback. So we were just riding along shooting a bull, and I just felt like she was a really, really nice young lady, which she was. And she moved to California.
Then?
Well, she went to school. She went to Harvard to become an attorney, which really surprised me.
She went to Harvard?
Yep, she went to Harvard, and she became a really hardline activist for the left way of thinking. She was very liberal. It did not appear that way to me when we were riding together, but she got to California.
She probably wasn't then.
No, and she turned liberal big time and used. Then that's, by the way, why she said she started a law school, so she could understand more legalities in the pursuit of her activism for the left-wing liberals.
Well, in the meantime, she certainly had her share of awards and things in the TV, movie world.
Yeah. She made a lot of movies and was very successful. She, too, got accolades. I can't tell you what they were. I think she was nominated for a couple of Oscars. I don't think she ever got one. But just being nominated out there with those people is pretty cool,
So she went to California and pursued her own little dream, and Naomi and Wynonna pursued their singing career.
Correct.
And did they ever pursue it, that is?
Did they ever pursue?
They did. I said, did they ever? That means they really did well.
Oh, my gosh, yeah. Yes, they did well. And, Naomi, I never did realize in the visits I had with her, which were many, like I mentioned, a lot of Sundays at church, sometimes at her home, I never felt like she was having any type of mental distress but she ended up being chronic depression.
Well, somewhere along the line, you told me, and I don't remember what time frame it was when she was going to your church. She became very sick, correct?
Oh gosh, yes. She had hepatitis C, which I understand the C is the big word because that parallels HIV, which they, at that time did not have any cure for that. And so they gave her like 3 months to live. And she lasted a long time. She did go, I'll tell you the truth.
Is that when she quit? I think she took a break from touring with Wynonna. That's when she became sick.
Let me interject something that I find very interesting. At Christ Church, which is a big, big church, I guess the largest in Nashville. Well, actually, it's in Brentwood. We call it Nashville. On Tuesday, they had intercessory prayer. 3 guys there, Jim, Jack, and John, and they called it the 4 J's because they included Jesus. Naomi went there every Tuesday night for intercessory prayer, and that particular denomination believes in laying hands on people and praying for them, and they had given her 3 months to live. She went into total remission of that after just, a couple of years, I think. Had her health.
She didn't tour for a couple of years.
Yeah, no, she came off the road and didn't
I remember
do anything.
you told me that she looked pretty bad in church.
She did. She looked tired. She said, when someone doesn't feel well, it shows in their face.
Sure.
And I could tell that when she would smile, it was a forced smile, as being polite. She really didn't feel like smiling. But, and Larry was with her every Sunday at church, Larry Strickland. So she came out of that and then went back to touring some with her daughter, Wynonna. And then they did their last finale together, which was called, what was it called?
The farewell tour?
Yeah.
Okay.
But
the album was Building the Bridge.
Build Me a Bridge.
Love Can Build a Bridge or something like that.
Yeah, they also had to put it out as a single, and that was a hit. But
the album was Love Can Build a Bridge.
I forgot to mention, excuse me, go ahead, babe.
I think that was the name of it, right? Love Can Build a Bridge?
That was the name of it. Yes, it was.
That was the album, her last album with Wynonna, correct?
Yeah. And what really kicked them off, turning the pages back, is I mentioned when Brent got them a record deal, RCA did an album on them. They pulled a single out of the album, and it didn't do well. Then they reached and got another single that really kicked their career off called Why Not Me?
Oh, that was a big record.
Yeah,
I remember that well.
Yeah, so that was the one that started it all, and then they continued, and I knew that Naomi had some depression problems. I had heard that, matter of fact, Larry mentioned it to me, but I didn't know how serious it was, and she was on all kind of antidepressants. You name it, she was taking it and trying to beat that thing, and she never did. And they were all at the house, Ashley, and I think Wynonna was at the house. I'm not sure about that.
Let me stop you right there,
okay.
if I may. Ashley, speaking of her, she and her mother were quite estranged, weren't they?
Yeah, they had some problems. I want to say the wounds healed through the years.
Isn't that the reason for that album name or that song?
Yeah, and
Love
also,
Can Build a Bridge.
Love Can Build a Bridge. Also, as I mentioned earlier, Naomi was fighting depression, and I think what really drove her into deeper depression is Ashley did what they call tell-all book, which was not complimentary to any of the family, and it was the way she was raised and what have you. And I think that put her mom, Naomi, into a further tailspin. And then the tragedy, right before the Judds were going to be inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame, which everyone strives for that, prays for that, hopes for that, but knows the chances of getting there are very, very slim. Well, they got there, and the day before, she and Wynonna were going to the Hall of Fame to be inducted into the Hall of Fame and receive their medals and so forth and so on. Naomi was in such distress, she took a pistol and committed suicide. I mean, she just...
That's sad. That's real sad.
Real
sad. The day
sad.
before they were going to accept this award?
The day before. Also, I wonder how Wynonna gathered the emotional strength to go down the day after her mom committed suicide and accept the induction into the Country Music Hall of Fame the very next day.
Really?
Yeah.
The next day?
The next day after her mom committed suicide.
I don't think I could do that.
I said, wow, nobody knows what's going on in a person's mind. And she was either maybe in shock and saying, we've worked all these years to get into the Hall of Fame, and maybe I better show up.
I think people would have understood if she hadn't.
Oh, they would have.
They could have put it off for a short time, couldn't they? Or could they?
Well, yeah, they could have, sure. Or maybe they'd say, well, okay, we won't put them in this year, we'll put them in next year. But, I have no idea. You try to second guess and figure out why someone is thinking how they're thinking, and you have absolutely no way of doing it. They were usually at odds with each other, the three ladies. I think Larry Strickland kind of laid low and stayed out of it.
Was he still married to her when she died?
Yeah, he was at the house when they heard the gunshot from upstairs, and Ashley is the one that went upstairs and found Naomi in a bloody bed where she had shot herself in the head. That hurts me to even speak of that, because first of all, it was a very nice lady that had achieved so much that just took her own life, and then finding her in the bed dead had to be a shock, more than a shock to Ashley.
It was a shock to the whole country music industry, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
I mean, you were there.
I was there, and everyone was saying, hey, Naomi killed herself, I said, God, really, and it was just, you did not expect that from her, even though she was on so much medication for depression. She was just manic depression, and there was nothing they could do about it. So, gosh, I guess they looked at all of the awards and the accolades they gathered up through the years, and it really didn't mean anything when you lose someone.
Well, then Wynonna, though, she picked it up and went back on, back to her solo, which she had been used to doing because her mother had taken, 2 years or so off?
Yeah, a few years.
When she was sick?
Yes, ma'am.
With hepatitis. So then Wynonna then picked up her career, and she is still touring today.
Yes, she still is. She still is.
I don't know that she's quite as called for as she was back in those days or not, but she's still out there working.
Yeah, she still is. It's funny, they can be so big, so successful, and as time goes by, you turn into the public, old so-and-so. Not meaning old. So-and-so had all these hits. There's been exceptions, such as the Judds. They strung out how many hits?
I don't even know how many hits.
The only duo that had...
Oh, wait a minute. Duo. Speaking of duo, they were tell me this. They were the hottest duo out there until what? Sometime in the 90s? Early 90s?
Yeah.
And who took over that spot?
Brooks and Dunn.
Brooks and Dunn took over the spot.
They strung out a lot of them.
I guess the people decided the Judds had been riding that horse long enough.
Well, that plus the fact that after Naomi's death and Wynonna went out, they kind of stopped the string of hits on the duets because it was just Wynonna. That may have been, I have no idea whether that affected it or not.
She died in, She died in 22.
Yep, 2022.
And it was the 90s that Brooks and Dunn took their spot as a duo. So, yeah, Brooks and Dunn had that crown for a long time before she died.
Well, it was a tragic thing, and Ashley is the one that really surprised me in a way. Of course, I'm a conservative, and don't mind telling anybody out there. I don't want to offend any of our viewers or listeners that are on the liberal side, because we welcome everybody in here and hope I don't chase you away. But I would never, after visiting and riding side by side for a couple of hours each day I was down there, that Wynonna was thinking liberal.
You mean Ashley?
I mean, Ashley, yes, because Wynonna, I think she was just, hell, I don't care. One of those gals,
Of course, I never met her, but anyway, that's the attitude I get out of looking at her. And Wynonna has 2 children.
Yeah.
And
I never thought she'd be a mama. But she, everybody can be a mama if they want to.
And anyway, she has 2 children. I don't know if Ashley does or not. I don't even know if she ever got married.
I don't know that either. I should know that, but I don't. But once she went to California, I lost all contact with Ashley.
Yeah.
But it was.
Does Wynonna still live in Nashville?
Yeah, she lives, as far as I know, and I'm pretty sure, and I'm safe in saying that she lives in the same home she had there.
Okay.
Which was very quaint. It was a 1-story home, or maybe a story and a half, and it was had a wraparound porch and a pretty part of Tennessee. As I said right there, she was maybe a mile or so, 2 miles from actually the big city of Leiper's Fork.
And her red, 55?
55 Chevrolet. It had been restored. It was absolutely beautiful. I don't know.
Did you drool on it?
Oh, yes. I liked the 55, but 57 was my favorite. 55s are good. But she would fly.
That was your favorite color, red, and
Chevrolet.
And 55 Chevrolet, 56, 57?
Yeah, I like cars to be so red that they would smell red, Get up close, I smells red. Well, I sure have enjoyed visiting about the Judds. The good and the bad, the sad and the happy.
Yeah.
And they had happy
a lot of
time.
both.
It was, I don't know exactly how, I guess Wynonna was tough because during their tenure as being a superstar duo, Naomi did all the business. She did all the decisions. She was basically the voice of the Judds on the technical side business. Yeah, she did all.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
I've often wondered, it was mostly Wynonna that did the out front singing, right?
Yeah,
am I right?
You're exactly right. She was a singer.
Okay, so what did Naomi do then? Just like
Naomi sang mostly with her, of course, unison parts, which means not harmony. Sometimes she would hook a harmony part, and she had the lower end. Her voice was a little lower than Wynonna's at the time. But
did she ever do a single or anything? I don't recall ever hearing her sing by herself.
I think I'm in the same boat you are. I don't think she did. She might have. They might have pulled something out of one of her albums or something. But she did. But she did well. Well, that's the story on the Judds. Some happy parts and some sad parts, but they were the Judds, and they were our neighbor. And I've got to thank our sponsor. I've got to say howdy to Dr. Harry Anderson, a gentleman that I respect so much because he's given a lot to the animals and a lot to the people. Mm-hmm. I want you to go to their website, totalfeed.com. They'll tell you about everything, the product that they make. Dr. Anderson did Total Equine, which is what we've been on our horses forever, and Total Goat, Total Bovine, Total People, Total Bull. Of course, a lot of those bulls you see in the PRCA and the PBR are on the feed Total Bull. And then Total People. I started on Total People 15, 20 years ago. And actually
And look at you, you're a Total People.
I'm a perfect Total People. Go to the website and explore all of the great things that Total Feed has and drop a note to Dr. Harry Anderson, Total Feed. Tell him you heard old Kilroy talking about it. In the meantime, we've got to saddle up and drift.
Yes, we do.
Which horse are you bringing up? A Palomino horse?
No.
No?
He's missing a shoe. I think Cash will be the best one for you. All our horses, except for the Palomino, are Cash with a K, Cody with a K.
Yep.
Our dog's name starts with a K.
Everything
Kilroy with a K.
Yeah, you with a K. We're full of Ks.
We were full of Ks. So
Well,
yeah,
We woke
I think Cash will be your best bet today.
Yeah, probably so.
That big old fat buckskin needs to be ridden.
Well, we'll get him ridden. In the meantime, thanks for being with me today. I've really enjoyed having you here.
My pleasure.
And visiting and telling stories about our people, our friends up there. Be sure to join us every day for our next episode. Oh, and I want to ask you to do me one more favor. Please, if you've enjoyed anything we're doing, well, actually, if you didn't even enjoy it, I'm asking you, would you please hit share, like, everything. Comment. Oh, comments is important.
Even if you want to say something
if
bad,
you want to say
still do
something
it.
bad to me, yeah. And also, I say this every time. If there's a particular artist you'd like to hear something more in depth about them, if I knew that artist personally, which is where I get all our stories, I'll do my best to have a show on that particular artist for you. Also, any comments you have, whether the show is good, bad, whether you liked it, whether you slept right through it, whatever, let us know. In the meantime, we're going to ride out of here. But I got to say, God bless each and every one of you, and thanks for being here.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Kilroy's Outlaws and Legends Behind the Music. If you have any thoughts or questions about the content, email them. Kilroy Outlaws and Legends, all one word, at yahoo.com. That's Kilroy, no S, Outlaws and Legends, all one word, at yahoo.com. And don't forget to subscribe. Third-party use of any part of this podcast without the expressed consent of Eddie Kilroy is prohibited. The Kilroy's Outlaws and Legends Behind the Music podcast is a production of Eddie Kilroy.